Florida's real estate market is facing an unprecedented crisis that could reshape its entire landscape. In the last 24 months alone, property insurance rates have skyrocketed by 300% in coastal regions, while FEMA's new regulations are forcing thousands of homeowners to abandon their properties. The statistics are stark. Over 400,000 Florida homeowners have lost their insurance coverage since 2020, and nearly 30% of coastal properties are now considered high-risk investments by major lending institutions. Welcome to Econofin. Today we're diving deep into why Florida's housing market is at a critical turning point. What I'm about to share isn't just another market analysis, it's a wake-up call for homeowners and investors alike. The convergence of hurricanes, regulatory shifts, and market forces is creating what experts are calling a property crisis cascade across the Sunshine State. First, let's talk about FEMA's 50% rule, which many Floridians learned about only after facing massive repair bills. This rule requires homeowners to bring their homes up to code if repair costs exceed 50% of the home's market value. FEMA's 50% rule is quietly forcing massive property abandonments across the state. This regulation may seem straightforward on paper, but its consequences are severe. For instance, some homeowners whose trailers are in a flood-prone park and suffered minimal damage are now being forced out of their homes. The city condemned the entire park even though only a few trailers were significantly affected. When repair costs exceed 50% of a home's market value, the entire property must be brought up to current flood codes. In many coastal areas, this means elevating structures up to 9 feet, a modification that typically costs between $150,000 and $250,000. For larger homes or those with complex foundations, these costs can exceed $400,000. The 50% rule has created what local real estate professionals are calling the elevation trap. Here's a real-world example. A $300,000 home needs $160,000 in repairs after storm damage. Because this exceeds 50% of the home's value, the owner must now elevate the entire structure. The elevation costs another $200,000, bringing the total project cost to $360,000, more than the home's original value. Insurance typically covers the storm damage, but not the mandatory elevation, leaving homeowners with impossible choices. The impact of this rule is creating ripple effects throughout communities. In Bradenton Beach, an entire mobile home community of 150 homes was recently condemned due to minor flooding damage. These weren't vacant investment properties, they were family homes, some occupied by the same families for generations. Similar scenarios are playing out in Venice, Fort Myers Beach, and along the Panhandle, where entire neighborhoods are being declared uninhabitable due to these regulations. Next, let's discuss the insurance crisis because the numbers are truly staggering. According to the Insurance Information Institute, average home insurance premiums in Florida have reached $4,231 per year, nearly 3 times the national average. This represents a 103% increase from 2019 levels, and the trajectory continues upward. We've seen 6 major insurers declare insolvency in the past 18 months alone, leaving over 400,000 homeowners scrambling for coverage. Citizens Property Insurance, Florida's insurer of last resort, has swelled from 420,000 policies in 2019 to over 1.2 million policies today, indicating a massive shift in market dynamics. Let's break down these insurance numbers further. Wind coverage alone has increased by 150% since 2021, with some coastal properties seeing annual premiums exceeding $20,000. Flood insurance, which is separate from standard homeowners insurance, has seen similar spikes. FEMA's Risk Rating 2.0 program has led to premium increases of up to 500% for some high-risk properties. The average flood insurance premium in Florida's coastal counties is now $3,489 annually, compared to $722 just 5 years ago. The future looks even more challenging. Industry analysts project these rates will increase by another 40 to 60% in coastal areas by 2025. To put this in perspective, if you own a $300,000 home, you're looking at potential combined insurance costs of over $12,000 annually by 2025. For many middle-class homeowners, this represents nearly 20% of their annual mortgage payments. Insurance is becoming the main financial burden for many Florida homeowners. Premiums for hurricane and flood insurance alone have gone up drastically. These hikes are not just from private insurers, but also from Citizens Property Insurance, a state-backed insurer, which is often the only option left for high-risk properties. Consider this: if your roof repair estimate is $75,000, but the FEMA allowance for repairs is capped at $66,000, what do? Many are forced to sell or abandon their homes because they simply cannot afford the repairs. And once a property has a history of flooding, it's practically impossible to find affordable insurance coverage, making it a tough sell for future buyers. One of the harshest realities for many Floridians is the quiet, creeping land grab by investors and corporations. After every hurricane, real estate investors and hedge funds sweep in, buying up properties at rock-bottom prices. Local governments use policy loopholes like FEMA's 50% rule to deem properties sustainably damaged and enforce stringent compliance requirements. This leaves homeowners with a choice: pay for expensive upgrades or sell the property at a loss. Bradenton, Tampa, North Carolina, and North Georgia have all seen this happen repeatedly. In fact, local governments are now openly discussing how some areas shouldn't be rebuilt. This strategy of forced buyouts and aggressive code enforcement is turning entire communities over to developers, who then build high-end properties or resorts in areas that were once affordable neighborhoods. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you find this video interesting so far. Each like and subscribe helps support this channel and keeps us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now, back to what I was saying. Let's further discuss what I call the land grab phenomenon, which is reshaping entire communities. We're witnessing hedge funds acquiring distressed coastal properties at 40 to 60% below market value. In the past 18 months, investment firms have purchased over $8.4 billion in Florida coastal real estate, often targeting properties affected by insurance increases or FEMA regulations. The pattern is clear and concerning. 1. Insurance costs and regulations make properties financially unfeasible for individual owners. 2. Large investors acquire distressed assets at significant discounts. 3. Local zoning changes favor high-density luxury developments. And 4. Original communities are permanently displaced. We're seeing this play out in real time across Florida's coast. In Fort Myers Beach, 3 major investment firms have acquired over 200 properties since Hurricane Ian. In Pensacola, a single hedge fund now owns 12% of all beachfront properties. These investors typically hold properties for 3 to 5 years, then redevelop them into luxury condominiums or resorts. However, this market shift also creates opportunities for informed investors. Central Florida communities located 25+ miles inland are seeing steady appreciation, averaging 8.2% annually. New developments with modern flood mitigation systems are attracting premium buyers, commanding 50 to 20% price premiums over comparable properties without such features. The data transparency revolution is the third major factor reshaping Florida's real estate market. Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com have partnered with First Street Foundation to display detailed climate risk information on every listing. This goes far beyond simple flood zone designations. Buyers can now see historical flood frequency and severity, projected flood risk over 5, 15, and 30-year periods, storm surge probability by category of hurricane, wind damage risk assessments, heat and wildfire risk projections, insurance cost trends for the property, elevation certificates and requirements, previous flood insurance claims, and sea level rise impact projections. This unprecedented transparency is fundamentally changing buyer behavior. Properties with high-risk scores are seeing a 15 to 20% reduction in buyer interest, spending 10 to 30% longer on the market, and experiencing price reductions of 5 to 15%. The impact varies significantly by region and elevation. For example, in Miami-Dade County, properties below 3 feet elevation, 25% buyer interest. Properties 3 to 6 feet elevation, 15% buyer interest. Properties above 6 feet elevation, plus 5% buyer interest. Looking at coastal property values over the past year reveals a stark divergence based on elevation and flood risk. High elevation properties above 6 feet have appreciated by 12%, while low elevation properties have depreciated by 8%. Properties with a documented flooding history have seen even steeper declines, with value adjustments of -15 to -25%. This pattern is particularly pronounced in investment properties, where insurance costs directly impact ROI calculations. Consider a resident who bought a home 4 years ago next to a flood-prone area without knowledge of its flooding history. If she had known, she might have reconsidered the purchase. But with Zillow's integration of this data, future buyers are warned about flood risks, making it harder for current homeowners to sell without significant price drops. Looking ahead, our analysis suggests that 30% of current coastal properties may become financially unviable by 2030. This project is based on projected insurance cost increases of 15 to 20% annually, sea level rise projections from NOAA, historical storm damage patterns, FEMA regulatory requirements, and population growth and development patterns. For current homeowners, the time to act is now. Start by obtaining an elevation certificate and reviewing your property's flood risk data. Calculate your total cost of ownership, including projected insurance increases. Document all flood mitigation efforts, as they can impact both insurance rates and property value. Future-proofing your investment. If you're still considering investing in Florida, take these precautions to protect your investment. 1. Choose a resilient property. Avoid low-lying flood zones. Look for properties that are elevated or have undergone substantial upgrades to withstand flooding and wind damage. Make sure your home is built to withstand Category 5 hurricanes with features like impact windows, fortified roofs, and flood-proof foundations. 2. Thoroughly vet your insurance options. Talk to multiple insurance providers and read the fine print on policies. Check if they cover wind-driven rain or storm surge as separate from flooding, as these exclusions can make a massive difference in your coverage. 3. Review climate risk data. Take advantage of the climate risk data available on sites like Zillow. Look for properties with lower risk profiles or those that have already taken preventative measures. 4. Plan for higher insurance costs. Assume your insurance premiums will increase every year and budget for that. Many experts are projecting that Florida could see another 50% increase in insurance rates by 2030 due to continued hurricane damage and increased climate risk. 5. Stay informed about local regulations. Be proactive in understanding FEMA's regulations, local building codes, and any policy changes. The rules in Florida can change frequently, especially after a major storm, and often not in favor of the homeowner. The bottom line, is Florida a safe bet? Florida has always been a high-risk, high-reward environment. The beaches, weather, and lifestyle make it attractive, but these benefits come with serious risks. For some, the trade-offs are worth it. But for many, the financial and emotional toll of repeated storms, increasing insurance costs, and restrictive government policies are proving too much. The ongoing land grabs in high-risk areas suggest that real estate in Florida is quickly shifting from a place for middle-class families to a playground for high-end developers and wealthy investors. The average homeowner is losing ground in this race as cities enforce increasingly strict codes, pushing people out and paving the way for luxury development. Is Florida unlivable? Not exactly, but it's becoming financially unsustainable for many current property owners, especially those who aren't prepared for the challenges ahead. The hard reality is that the risks are growing, and paradise now comes with an escalating price tag. While this creates significant challenges, it also presents unique opportunities. The next 5 years will reshape Florida's real estate landscape dramatically, and those who understand these changes and position themselves accordingly won't just survive, they'll thrive. But if you're thinking of investing or buying property in Florida, you need to go in with your eyes wide open, fully aware of both the risks and opportunities. Because in today's Florida market, the difference between success and failure isn't just about location anymore. It's about understanding the new rules of the game. Thanks for watching, and please make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and watch this one as well.